the 2011 college football season is underway. A full slate of games happening this weekend, and a lot of Texas teams and a lot of Texas ties in other conferences are starting out their 2011 campaigns this weekend. And so on this podcast, we'll talk about the top 5 trending topics for 2011, the teams and the players you should be watching for this year. Well, so with that, let's start off with number 5. Well, for Texas State, it's been a long and winding road as they finally, after 20 years of waiting, will be in the Football Bowl subdivision next year. This year, they'll still be in the FCS, kind of, as Texas State hasn't exactly moved on to the Football Bowl subdivision just yet, or the FBS. They're still kind of in the FCS in the sense that they're an independent squad in 2011. Yes, they play Southland Conference teams, the Southland Conference in the Football Championship subdivision, or formerly Division I AA, but they're technically independent. They're essentially in limbo. But even so, Texas State will have a new look upon them next year. It's the preparation for next year that's going to help Texas State move forward as they're going to be playing with the big boys in 2012. And that started off this last offseason when they hired Dennis Franchione back on January 7th of 2011, as this was a huge hire for Texas State and a really good hire. Franchione comes in to San Marcos for the second time in his career. The first time was from 1990 to 91. He went 13-9 in those 2 years, 2 straight winning seasons for Coach Franchione. So for a lot of people who might naysay from some of his failures at Texas A&M, he's actually done a very good job as a coach, especially at Texas State. Well, back when he coached Texas State, when they were known as Southwest Texas. The thing is, the reason why this is a huge hire for the Bobcats, Coach Franchione has done a remarkable job during his previous employments of getting teams back from obscurity into relevance, starting off with TCU back in the early 90s, back when he had LaDainian Tomlinson, moving on to Alabama, and then Texas A&M. When you look at all 3 of those programs for Dennis Franchione, those 3 programs, TCU, Alabama, and Texas A&M, those 3 programs are on the rise right now. You can't go anywhere in college football without talking about A&M, TCU, or Alabama. He has helped bring those programs out of obscurity and, in some cases like Alabama, out of some severe NCAA troubles. So he's the right man for the job. He's the right guy to get this program in shape, ready for the 2012 season when they play in the FBS. Now, as for this year, this will be a little bit difficult for Texas State. Last year they went 4-7, and they ended their year with a 3-game losing streak, partially because of injuries in some of their key positions. Most notably, the quarterback position, as Tyler Arndt, Texas State's starting quarterback last year, one of their big-time players last year at the quarterback position, was hurt. Arndt threw for over 1,300 yards during his season and threw for 9 touchdowns, but he suffered a knee injury in the 6th game of the year against Northwestern State, and he was lost for the remainder of the season. So for Texas State, hopefully they can get Arndt back and healthy this year to finish out and be consistent with his offense, especially the wide receivers, and play well in 2011. Helping out Arndt will be halfback Dexter Umade, who comes back with 404 yards rushed last year and 5 touchdowns. The thing is, for Texas State, they got to fix the defense. Last year they were 95th out of 117 football championship subdivision teams. They gave up over 388 yards per game. That's not going to get it done. But I feel confident, and I think a lot of fans in San Marcos will feel confident. Coach Fran can get it done and get the job accomplished. Point number 4, and we'll move on here quickly. The Baylor Bears, and Robert Griffin III. This will be a big season for Baylor. Last year was a good starting out season. Art Briles, his first year on the campus at Waco, helped Baylor get to their first bowl game since 1994. That's a good bar trivia question if you're wondering. But when was the last time Baylor, before last year, made it to a bowl game? 1994 against Washington State in the Alamo Bowl. They lost that game 10-3, so just FYI. But The bigger point about this is just the fact that Baylor went to a bowl game for the first time in over a decade. That's just mind-boggling. Almost 2 decades they have not been to a bowl game. Last year they were 7-6. They lost to Illinois in the Texas Bowl 38-14, but it was a remarkable season for the Bears and Coach Art Briles. But the reason why was because of Robert Griffin III. He has been the catalyst for this Baylor ball club. Last year, last year for the Baylor Bears, he really did a great job in the 2010 season. Did Robert Griffin III? He threw for over 3,500 yards, 22 touchdowns, and only threw 8 interceptions during the year. So for his career at Baylor, Robert Griffin has thrown for over 6,000 yards, 6,073 yards, 41 touchdowns, and only 11 interceptions. That's remarkable. It's huge, and especially last year's numbers. When you are reminded of the fact that the previous season in 2009 he suffered a knee injury that took him out pretty much the entire season in 2009. He got a red shirt that year, and that's why he's coming back for his junior campaign this year. And here's a stat that's going to be pretty remarkable and indicative of how Baylor will need Griffin to really play well, and the reason why he's needed for the Bears in the first place. When he was at the helm of the offense, the 2 years he played with Baylor before he got hurt, the 3 years I should say before he got hurt, Griffin was I should say the Baylor Bears were 13-15 during that time. Pretty remarkable. I should say 14-15. Now that they just beat TCU on Friday night, they're 14-15 with Griffin at the helm of the offense. Very substantial. Almost 500 numbers. Very good. Without Robert Griffin, Baylor was only 2-7. They struggled without Robert Griffin III at the helm. His experience and his leadership are going to be needed in 2011 for the Baylor Bears to succeed. I dare say Baylor will be one of the dark horses in 2011 in the Big 12. Everyone's talking about Texas A&M, everyone's talking about Oklahoma, and everyone's talking about the resurgence of Texas, but people are not talking about Baylor. And Baylor just beat the 14th ranked TCU Horned Frogs at home, ending the Horned Frogs' 25-game regular season winning streak. This is a team that's very scary. Robert Griffin III holds the key to that success. Well, the third point we'll talk about now is Houston's Case Keenum and his run for the Heisman. Now, yes, there are a lot of other candidates that are the front runners for the Heisman Trophy. South Carolina's Marcus Lattimore, the running back for South Carolina, as well as quarterbacks Landry Jones for Oklahoma, Andrew Luck from Stanford, and Oregon's Darren Thomas, all are front runners for the 2011 Heisman Trophy. And you say what you might about it being a popularity contest, because we all know it is, but those guys right now are at the front of that pack. Not a lot of people are talking about Case Keenum, and the reason why is that Case Keenum was hurt last season. He suffered a very bad ACL tear last year against UCLA, missed missed more than half the year. He missed the final 9 games of the season. And so this year, going into this year, Case Keenum's really going to have to step it up and help this Cougar program get right back into the swing of things. Now that they have an opportunity to at least win the Conference USA title this year. The thing is, for Keenum, he was granted a 6th year of eligibility. Last year was supposed to be his 5th year, his final year, his senior year. But because of the injury, the NCAA gave him a 6-year medical redshirt, which allowed him to play this year. The reason why he's a Heisman candidate, though, is just the fact that Case Keenum needs only 3,486 yards to surpass the current NCAA passing leader, Timmy Chang, and overtake him for the top spot in that category in passing yards all time for a quarterback in the NCAA. Only 3,486 yards. Currently, Keenum has 13,586 yards passed in the 3 years he's actually played with the University of Houston. He's just had a remarkable season, a remarkable career at Houston. And the thing is, for a lot of people who might not know, Case Keenum has thrown for 5,000 yards in a season. So it's not going to be, it wouldn't be unprecedented if he got this mark to his credit. Added to the fact that Houston has a very easy schedule this year, non-conference wise, they're playing against North Texas and Louisiana Tech, 2 teams last year that were in the bottom 40s. In fact, La Tech was 107th in total defense last year, and the fact that Conference USA has been a poor defensive conference. Case Keenum has the ability and the propensity to do something well. He can win the Heisman if he stays healthy and allows himself to get all these yards. He, I think, might just pass Timmy Chang, Hawaii's Timmy Chang, as the all-time passing leader this year, so long as he stays healthy.